Alrighty, what have we got today? So for villages we have Crossroads and Aristocrat, both of which share the property of awkwardly only being a village the first time you play them, and Aristocrat also the fifth time if you manage to get that far, which I don't think you would. So each of these could be a one-shot village, and then future copies stop being villages. And I believe I saw, Citadel is also a village. You pay 8, and then you double the first action you play every turn. Although, that actually seems mildly awkward here. So, presumably the first thing you want to play each turn would likely be a Crossroads or an Aristocrat. And Citadel doesn't interact all too lovely with either of those. So, if the first card you play is Crossroads, you played it once, but then Citadel says you replay it, and then the second play of Crossroads does not give you +3 actions. You would double the +1 card effect if at all applicable, but you wouldn't get additional actions from Citadel playing Crossroads twice. And then Aristocrat, it does get doubled by Citadel. The thing you'd really love to happen would be to get like +3 actions followed by +3 cards. That'd be great. But there's still going to be one Aristocrat in play for the second play. So Citadel and Aristocrat's just giving +6 actions, which is definitely better than the Crossroads scenario, I think. But not the way you'd want that thing to shake out. Oopsie daisy. So we got villages, 3 of them, all 3 of which look a little bit finicky here. Draw, there's Mapmaker, there's Faithful Hound, and Aristocrat can be draw, the second one. So we got draw. There's also Warehouse plus Faithful Hound as an interaction. So imagine, for example, Warehouse discarding your Faithful Hounds. One Warehouse discards 3 Faithful Hounds. You effectively don't have to discard any cards because the Faithful Hounds just stay in your hand for the following turn. That's like turning Warehouse into a double lab. That could be something. Downside of that is like if you want to build that deck that's just got like 10 Faithful Hounds and a bunch of Warehouses and pitches the Faithful Hounds every turn, so that you can play Warehouses without discarding cards. If you miss Warehouse even once, like you just have a hand where you have all your Faithful Hounds and then no Warehouses, then all the Faithful Hounds get discarded in cleanup, and then you got to start from scratch with a 5-card hand and build back up to that 15-card hand. So a little bit risky. Guide can maybe mitigate that a bit. I don't know, maybe that's the thing for Warehouse Faithful Hound. So we got lots of draw. Plus buy, looks like mostly buried treasure. Again, in theory, Aristocrat could get to plus buy, but you have to play 4 of those, which doesn't seem that likely here. There's also Hagby for gains. Thinning is just Catapult. So Catapult's good at trashing coppers, not so good at trashing estates. And there is Crossroads around, which encourages you to hold on to your estates. Is that a thing? Let me think about that. So, Crossroads plus estates as a draw engine, I think, is usually fairly weak. It's fun when you can get it to work, but the trouble is you first have to line up a Crossroad with a bunch of estates in hand, and then you have to find more Crossroads, and it's not easy to make that happen reliably. That could be the thing to do. You could also just open with Catapult and trash your estates. Like, not terrible at doing that. Well, if I'm contemplating keeping the estates around, because you might want to play with you're going to play with Crossroads anyway, I think, for a village. Then opening Catapult just to kill the coppers doesn't sound great, because if you're trashing your coppers and not your estates, you're just hitting terribly low price points here, which is, I mean, maybe you just suffice buying 2s and 3s for a bit. The 2s and 3s are okay. When I'm thinking, what about, like, try to get an early buried treasure followed by an early Citadel? That seems big. Like, Mapmaker, Silver, buried treasure, try to hit 8 off of that. Citadel, and then your deck's running. I'm going to try that. I don't know if that's right. But just, I don't like thinning coppers and not estates. Your deck doesn't do good things after that. I did not find the Mapmaker. Probably I'd just buy a second one here. What happens if I buy credit buried treasure? How does that work? So I pay 4. 2 goes to credit, 2 goes to paying off debt. So I'm basically just breaking even there. From a $4 hand, credit buried treasure, you take 3 debt, you get a buried treasure in play that gives you 3 money, which pays off the 3 debt. You effectively got a buried treasure that didn't play itself, which is kind of the main benefit of buried treasure. So I don't know if I love that. Also, what's the bot doing? What did it by turn 1? Catapult, credit, coven. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think about coven very much here yet. So yesterday, coven looked terrible, and the bot went for it anyway, and it lost. Here, I could see coven working out here, actually. This could be a threat. So coven, again, it's better in weaker kingdoms, and here we got some awkward stuff that I don't know if it kicks off very quickly. So there could be time to drop 10 curses in your opponent's deck for sure. And credit helps you get the covens a little bit quicker, so you can play them earlier. I think coven is decent here. Obviously, I've not taken a line that looks like it wants coven, but the bot's just going straight for the the bot's brutal. Just go straight for all the attack cards, and I don't know, that seems fine here. Take a second map maker maybe. Ideally, this map maker will trigger a shuffle, and then ideally the other map maker is not in the top 2, and then I'll top deck it for the following turn. Okay, here we go. Buried treasure. Can I hit 8 off of this? I don't think so. The really lucky draw I could if I find the silver. Nope, no dice. And this is actually doubly bad. The reason I like Mapmaker turn 3 is because at least you have a chance of getting a nice little virtuous cycle of you draw like 1 or 2 cards off the top, then you've top decked your Mapmaker for the next turn. That triggers a slight shuffle, and then your Mapmaker's in the following. And unfortunately, I found the Mapmaker a little bit too early here. Wait a second. Well, I don't know. I really want the buried treasure for spiking 8, and this hand is not getting to 8. There's nothing good down there, unless I happen to draw a Mapmaker off the top. There's still nothing else I want particularly more. Maybe a Haggler? Apparently I would have hit 8. Whoops. I mean, my shuffle would have been different if I hadn't bought the Haggler. But, oh well. Alright, here we go. I think I'm gonna hold off on Citadel for one more turn. Like, 10 money is awkward because you can do Citadel on a 2, but with Haggler, if you buy a 2-cost card, you get a copper off of it, which is not great. I think I just like Buried Treasure, and then some of the other stuff that I want to build with, and then with 2 Buried Treasures in play, I should hit, yeah. I mean, I've got a total dud hand here, and I'm still hitting Citadel off the Buried Treasures. I need a copy, or 2 copies of guides, because the bot has catapults, and if you can get 2 guides, that just hard counters. I don't know if hard counters quite. Maybe that's a little bit too strong. It counters discard attacks, because like you discard 2 cards, you just pitch your hand and draw 5 more cards, and you've undiscarded all the cards. But it's a really hard counter to is something like a top deck effect, like Ghost Ship or Clerk, where I had 3 buried treasures in play. I didn't even realize that. Look at all this money. But with top deck effects, Guide is better than just like getting a new random hand, because you can top deck your best cards and then draw a hand that's nicely sculpted. But in any case, yeah, Guide seems pretty good. Okie dokie. Just more buried treasure. And should I get a catapult now? Probably. The bot doesn't have any guides. I don't know if I have enough deck control to play a catapult reliably, though. Let's take a second guide and a second map maker. Or a third map maker. I don't know exactly. I kind of want all of these cards to some degree. I don't have my guide down yet, so it's going to be a little bit painful. I guess I'm duplicating the Aristocrat. Okay, a 4 and a 3 seems really nice here. So we can go Mapmaker, second aristocrat, warehouse. Oh, for some reason I thought the haggler got doubled. I guess I still had the previous haggler play in mind. I was expecting to get 6 cards here for no good reason. I only get 4 cards, but that's plenty. This is a nice starting hand. So here we see +3 actions once, but I get to draw both times. The first half of this gets doubled. I have a second crossroads. There's some argument for keeping an estate if I found the other crossroads. That aristocrat would do nothing. Okie dokie. 10. What am I doing with 10? Can I support a second haggler? That's probably too ambitious, right? Maybe not. Something like haggler, warehouse, faithful hound. Don't think another buried treasure right now is necessary with 3 in play. There's kind of a limit on how many action cards I can play, because I can play a crossroads and aristocrat. If I have that aristocrat in my starting hand, it's actually not that bad of a citadel target, I'm realizing, because you can you get 6 actions off of it. And I can play all the actions in the world. I don't know. Mapmaker and 2 3s. Haggler, warehouse, faithful hound. I think I like the warehouses and the faithful hounds. Like I was just describing that scenario where I've got, like if I find an aristocrat in my starting hand, I get a bunch of actions, and then just having faithful hound sitting in the starting hand sounds kind of unappealing. Maybe I want these? I don't know. Like I said, I kind of want all of this stuff a little bit. I just want to shove a bunch of these on my deck. Which maybe suggests I do want a second haggler. I don't know. I'm going to try clicking these. This is a dud hand. I'll probably pitch it with guide and hope to draw better. Bot's got 3 covens. I think these curses are definitely going to hit before the game ends, and then I might struggle a bit. This might be good enough. I should know what these bottom 2 cards are, and I don't. Double the warehouse, play a mapmaker, probably gets me somewhere. I want to keep a guide on the map in case I get catapulted next turn. Not quite sure how to play this. This aristocrat would be draw, which I don't need. I can't play the haggler either. Yeah, this just ain't working out quite the way I'd like it to, but that's fine. Got to discard a faithful hound, which is nice. Okay, 13. Might be time to start greening. With crossroads in the deck, green cards actually aren't much of an impediment. So maybe just like province, buried treasure, duchy something. 7's not a bad number either here with haggler. Like a 4, a 3, a 3, and a 2 is nice. Maybe hold off one more turn on greening. How about buried treasure, mapmaker. I like the dogs. Or maybe, I want more faithful hounds. What about like 3, 3, 3, 4, and then just get a bunch of faithful hounds? Maybe a third crossroads. I still don't have a catapult yet. See if that works out. Well, I'm calling guide here, but that's actually going to be alright, because I get to put all these faithful hounds back in hand next turn. Okay, double that, draw a card. Might be able to get somewhere with this. Maybe I just want to grab the haggler, rather than... I'm not drawing my deck here, I don't think. And haggler is one of the best cards I can find. Intuitively, you just always take the draw card, and then you draw back around, and then you play the Haggler at the end of the turn. But I don't think I'm drawing 20 cards here, and playing that Haggler before the end. This estate is functionally +2 cards at a minimum. That's probably worth it over Buried Treasure. Am I playing both of these? Probably not. Aw, poor doggy. If you showed up just a little sooner, you could have been discarded. I'm not playing that dog. That would trigger an absolutely horrific shuffle. Okie dokie. Now it seems like greening time for sure. Go Province, Buried Treasure, Duchy, Warehouse, Faithful Hound, or just more map makers. Map maker would be a much better card here if I had any way to gain a green card mid-turn, and I could trigger them all on my own. I don't reliably have them in the starting hand versus the bot. Okay, 1 curse left. A deluge is incoming. Ooh, this is a tough choice. All 4 of these have some argument for them. I'm thinking Crossroads Estate. I might be a little bit too ambitious on what I can draw here. I forgot I got that catapult. Let's discard the dogs. I don't think I'm playing all of those. Oh, this will be nice. If I don't take the dog here, it gets discarded, and then I have it in hand next turn. I would love to hold on to the last warehouse. I think, or is this the last warehouse? Maybe this isn't the last warehouse. I would like to have at least 1 warehouse left after I trigger the shuffle to discard the green cards, not back into the discard after playing all the crossroads. I think I got another one. Not totally sure about that. Crossroads draws more than map maker at this point. Yeah, so a little bit lacking in terminal space. Definitely not playing these, or this. I guess I discard all that. And my options are Catapult Haggler or Crossroads and Haggler. Probably the Crossroads is worth it. It draws 5 cards, and I got Buried Treasures down there. Catapult gets an attack, which is not nothing. I'm not, like, these 8 cards are junk, but I'm less worried about that than I should be in other cases, because I got 3 guides, so that would be fine. I think I'd rather just draw anyway. Yeah, I drew 2 Buried Treasures and some coppers. I think that's plenty worth it. Okie dokie. Province. I do not want to play that, I don't think. Well, actually, let me reconsider this. If I trigger this map maker, draw those 3 cards and 1 of these cards. So I could put a bunch of map makers in here first and then trigger it on my last buy. That sounds nice. Let's go map maker, aristocrat, and then this could be like duchy map maker, province map maker. Probably the province will be a buried treasure because I've already triggered the shuffle at that point, I think. Yeah. Decline. Alright, now I do province. yeah. Trigger this. Doesn't matter what I take. If I take copper at this point, I can't play it anyway, because once you started buying things in your buy phase, you can't play additional treasures. Okie dokie. So yeah, now I've top decked a bunch of map makers, and presumably the bot will buy a green card here. If it doesn't, well, piles are almost empty and it'll just lose. And then I'll draw all the cards. Might just catapult me. You never know. Oh, I'm sorry, bot. I was expecting you to buy a province, but apparently only have 2 money. Ooh, I don't know about that. That seems like a bad idea. For this reason. And the way reactions work is, as long as you're reacting all of these, like you're still in the reaction window. So if I draw additional map makers, we are still at the point of the game where it's just like, do things in response to province. And so additional map makers you draw can still be reacted. Okie dokie. I'm definitely not calling a guide on the sand. I think just double the aristocrat. Draw a card. I just need to find a crossroads, and I'm going to draw all the cards. Zoom. Where are the crossroads? I guess I'll discard some dogs. Crossroads? I swear to God, I have crossroads in my deck somewhere. I wasn't prepared for this. Here we go. Alrighty. Happy times. Yeah, unfortunately the crossroads are on bottom, so I can't play all 4 of aristocrat catapults and both hagglers. I guess win here will be trivial on buried treasures and a curse. Probably the most satisfying will be to catapult them, give them the curse. And we'll see how much I can pile here. Can empty the dogs too. I'll go duchy. Crossroads. Duchy. Crossroads. My map makers are a little bit over eager. Don't feel like resolving 7 of those. Alrighty, there we go. The bot have poor shuffles. I don't think their deck needs 2 crossroads all too badly. Like, you're not lining up crossroads with a bunch of green cards. It's not doing a whole lot. I doubt the crossroads buys. I think the bot could have given out these curses faster than it did. Catapult Coven, I think, seems like a pretty reasonable opening here. And I think the Coven game plan looked scary. I expected the curses to come a bit sooner. It finds the catapult. It did bottom deck its Coven. Didn't find it. Turn 3 or 4. Gets a second Coven. That makes sense. Takes a map maker. Third Coven. Haggler. Still don't love the crossroads buy, but it looks like even before this point, I think the bot seems to have had fairly poor shuffles. Like, if you can't manage to hit 5 before the end of a shuffle, I think it does make sense to buy, what do you call it? Credit plus Coven at bottom of a shuffle just to get an extra Coven into your shuffle. But obviously you don't want to be spending 7 on every Coven if you don't have to. And I think Hardbot's draws seem to have lined up just where like that was the best option because it was just never hitting 5 naturally. And so it's paying a lot for these Covens, and they're missing the shuffle. Like, it didn't play a Coven until turn 5. So probably there's a scenario where these curses drop a little earlier, and didn't get to put this deck to the test versus 10 curses. Like, if you manage to line up Crossroads and all the victory cards, you can probably draw through 10 curses but having 10 curses in your deck makes it harder to get that nice kickoff in the first place. And I don't know, this deck might collapse if the bot gets to curses a little bit sooner. I don't think this was clearly better or anything. I think the Coven thing has a lot more appeal in this kingdom than the last one, and easily could win maybe with better shuffles.